Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com as well as the YouTube channel and NoDQ&A videos affiliate ringsidenews.com. Big edition of Raw this week. We also have the announcement from Goldberg that he will be on Raw next week. Got your questions regarding the Goldberg-Brock Lesnar situation as well as other topics. So let's get started today with the first one, which comes from Mr. Johnson. What do you think about Paul Heyman saying Brock Lesnar issues a challenge to Goldberg any place, anytime? It's looking like we're going to get the match now. It's no longer a rumor. It is something that WWE is in fact building up towards, and it's looking like it's going to take place at Survivor Series instead of waiting until the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania. Now, what do I think about Goldberg coming back and fighting Brock Lesnar? I have mixed feelings about it. On one hand, I think it's cool from a nostalgic point of view to see Goldberg again. On the other hand, is there really a point in doing this match again? I mean, it's not like this was an all-time classic that fans have been begging to see a rematch of. Goldberg coming back for one more match is something that fans have been talking about, but fans were talking about the idea of Goldberg facing somebody he's never faced before. You know, there was the talk about Goldberg versus Ryback, or Goldberg versus John Cena, or Goldberg versus Roman Reigns. Not really Goldberg versus Lesnar. And it's weird that Goldberg would come back just to put over Brock Lesnar. I know Goldberg is doing this for his son, so his son can see him perform live in person. But at the same time, it's just weird for Goldberg to come back only to lose to Brock Lesnar and for Lesnar to get his win back. You know, it feels almost like Hogan versus the Warrior from '98 in WCW, where Warrior was essentially brought in just so Hogan could get his win back, and that was it. It almost feels like this is going to be the same type of situation. Now, I'm sure Goldberg will be making a lot of money from this with the video game and the pay-per-view appearance. But still, I mean, it just seems a little bit silly. But again, if Goldberg is willing to bury the hatchet with WWE and vice versa, and they're willing to do business together and make money, then at the end of the day, people will be professionals and work together and make the money. Got this one here from Dave Lesnar. Is WWE stupid? You have Brock and you're going to have him versus Shane at Mania. Why not Batista, Goldberg, or Joe? It makes no sense. I do not feel that it's really necessary to panic about this right now. It's not confirmed. It's just a rumor that Shane McMahon will be facing Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Now, they did shoot that angle at SummerSlam, which makes you think at some point we're going to get Shane McMahon versus Brock Lesnar. I'm hoping they do it at the Royal Rumble. I agree that there are better options for Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I want to see somebody like Samoa Joe come in and beat Lesnar at WrestleMania. So what I think WWE should do is have Shane McMahon face Lesnar at the Royal Rumble and Lesnar wins. Shane McMahon puts up a great fight, you know, let Shane be the McMahon that is tough as nails and goes toe-to-toe with this beast Brock Lesnar. Whatever. I mean, it's really silly, but Shane is Shane. He's a McMahon. So you know he's gonna put up a good showing. But Shane will lose, and then Shane brings in Samoa Joe from NXT to take out Lesnar, and that's how you establish Samoa Joe on the main roster as one of the top superstars. That's how I would do it. Will WWE go through with it? Will they have enough invested in Samoa Joe to give him that spot and even more so have him be the guy to beat Lesnar? I have my serious doubts, but at some point you got to pull the trigger with somebody. You got to capitalize on everything you've been doing with Brock Lesnar and build up the next superstar and have somebody get the rub off of Lesnar. And I think Joe is your best choice right now. This one comes from Spectrum Forever. Do you think that if Goldberg comes back, they will feed him to Braun Strowman so that he looks dominant? No, I do not want the Apple verification. Thank you. Do you think that if Goldberg comes back, they will feed him Braun Strowman so that he looks dominant and ready for Lesnar? That's an interesting question. I mean, right now, it doesn't look like it necessarily, unless on next week's Raw, Goldberg comes out and accepts the challenge, and then Braun Strowman comes out and says, hey, I want my competition, and he calls out Goldberg, and they do a match. I mean, one would think if Goldberg's going to job to Lesnar at Survivor Series, that Goldberg will at least get a win under his belt in this comeback instead of just coming back for one match and losing. Should WWE sacrifice Braun Strowman for it? Probably not. I mean, they might want to wait for a better opportunity to build somebody else up and have that person beat Strowman. But they could have Goldberg beat any number of guys. They could have Goldberg beat one of the random guys that never appears on Raw, or just bring in some enhancement talent and have Goldberg destroy them. There's a lot of different things WWE could do. So will they have Goldberg versus Strowman? Maybe, but I think there are better options than just feeding Strowman to Goldberg. Got this one here from Tyler. I'm starting to become a fan of Braun Strowman. He's been good in the ring and I enjoy his promo tonight. What about you? What happened here? Stupid idiot, that computer. I think that Braun Strowman is doing well in the role that he's in right now. However, I do not see him being this long-term successful superstar in WWE. I think this is a gimmick that's going to have a shelf life, and as well as WWE is doing with him right now, eventually he's going to be back to the way he was before, where he's going to have to work the longer matches with the top baby faces, and I think he's only going to go so far. Will he have the success that somebody like Rusev has had? I have my serious doubts about that. But it would be silly, like I said with the previous question, WWE's been spending all this time building up Strowman. It would be silly for Strowman to just lose to Goldberg next week. I would slowly build up somebody else to eventually challenge Strowman and beat Strowman. Have a plan over several months to build up to that moment, rather than just having Strowman lose out of the blue and then that's the end of his push. Just seems like a waste of time. Got this one here from Mr. Yuck. No DQs TNA spoilers saying Lashley will not regain the title. What are the odds for a WWE return to face Lesnar? Well, thanks for sending me a spoiler question. Now I'm going to get heat. I should have said something right off the bat, but oh well. I doubt that many people will care that much about it. There's no secret that TNA is very much in limbo right now, and we have no idea what's going to happen with TNA, if there will be a TNA in January. And, I talked about this before. Bobby Lashley doing the interview where he said he would love to face Lesnar. Of course he would. If the opportunity comes along, I think Lashley would jump at the chance to face Brock Lesnar. So I would say the odds depend on what's going on with TNA in 2017. If there's no TNA, Bobby Lashley is obviously going to be a free agent, and WWE might pick him up. They might, they may not. I'm not sure. I think it's a long shot that WWE would book Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, but I would not rule it out completely, especially if there is no TNA in 2007. Lashley might come back to WWE. I mean, it's certainly possible. Anything can happen. Got this one here from Beast Slayer. What do you think of the possible WWE Network changes, and from what you read when you upgrade to any of those? And from what you read when you upgrade, I think he's asking me if I would upgrade to any of those options. I would say that it's a good thing. I think it makes sense to have the different options for people. I just hope WWE will keep the $9.99 option, although I think $9.99 is too cheap, quite frankly. I think WWE is charging too little for the network. I think that the plan they have now, they could get away with charging, say, $10.99 or $11.99. But I think that the tiered pricing is a good idea. The more you're willing to spend, the more benefits you get. I think it's a good thing. I think it's good for their business model. I'm all for it. I'll probably get the more expensive plan, the $14.99 or whatever. I guess you can vote for Hall of Fame candidates. That's kind of interesting. Although now that Savage is in, I mean, besides Owen Hart, I think Owen Hart's the one name that fans would just try to vote like crazy for. But again, it's not WWE's call. It's if Martha Hart will sign off on it. But yeah, I definitely feel it's a good thing. And like I said, I would probably go with the most expensive option if they decide to, offer the $14.99 with all the extra perks. Even though I've said this before, I really feel the product's oversaturated right now, and I find it difficult to just be able to watch Raw, SmackDown, and the pay-per-views. I haven't even watched an episode of Holy Foley yet. There's still a lot of those network exclusives that I've never checked out, and I should, because it's my job. I just get so burned out on watching wrestling, and I just try to cover the main stuff and not lose focus on that. So, we'll see how it goes, but I definitely feel it's a good idea, what they're doing. Got this one here from John Henderson. I know it's a little early to ask this, but can you see the women doing a Money in the Bank match in the near future? Absolutely. Now that WWE has officially announced Hell in the Cell, Sasha Banks versus Charlotte, first time ever the women going inside Hell in the Cell, I think it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable we will see a women's Money in the Bank match. I'd love to see it at WrestleMania. I think WWE should do a Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania for one of the brands, and then do the Money in the Bank pay-per-view for the other brand. That's how they should do it in 2017, and have one of those matches be a women's Money in the Bank match. I'm definitely all for it. Why not? Do something different than we haven't seen before. Got this one here from B Money. Is Shelton Benjamin under contract to WWE, or was it pulled after his shoulder injury was discovered? I'm not sure the exact contractual status of Shelton Benjamin in WWE, but my impression is that once he is cleared to wrestle, WWE will in fact be bringing him in and doing what they originally had planned for him. I would be surprised if after he recovers, WWE did not use him and did not bring him back. I think that we will see him make his WWE comeback once he's ready to go. So that's what I know at this time. Not sure exactly what all the contractual stuff is between him and WWE, but I do expect him back. This one comes from Levi James. Which brand is worse, the Titus brand or TNA? Oh, this would be such a great opportunity for a TNA joke, but, to be serious, I'd say the TNA brand. As much as it's hurting right now, Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy alone will make the TNA brand better than the Titus O'Neil brand. So as much as I'd like to make that TNA joke, I'm not going to do it, because TNA is not the worst thing in the world right now. Yes, the brand is pretty much damaged beyond repair, but if we were just looking at TNA over the past couple of months and we forget about the rest of their history, then, it blows Titus O'Neil out of the water, with all due respect to Titus O'Neil. I just think Titus has been given a really crappy gimmick that has no potential whatsoever. Just my take on it. This one comes from ASG. If WWE has no intention of giving Bray a singles title push, why not give him and Harper a tag team push after Orton? I think that would be an interesting way to go with Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper. Yeah, you could do that, but I think what I would like to see is Harper turn on Bray Wyatt. This was one scenario I brought up when somebody asked me about Harper's return and what WWE should do with him. I think that Harper should turn on Bray Wyatt fairly soon and have Bray Wyatt go babyface and feud with Harper. Let Harper do the character that Bray Wyatt's doing right now, and let Bray Wyatt be a top babyface in WWE and give his career a little bit of a reboot. That's what I think WWE should do, quite frankly. I think I would have liked it better at the pay-per-view if Harper came out and cost Bray the match, and then you turn Bray babyface and give him a reboot and a renewed push, and then you start building up Bray Wyatt again. But this is fine. You could have Harper turn on Bray and have some kind of miscommunication between the two of them, but that's what I would do. I would definitely set up towards a Bray Wyatt versus Luke Harper feud rather than putting them together as a tag team. This one comes from Sean T. Flick. After the news of Daniel Bryan becoming a father in the spring, do you see him as a long-term GM? This is a great question. I definitely feel there's a possibility Bryan will take a leave of absence once his child is born. So yeah, we could see a change in the GM role early next year once Brie gives birth to their child. Definitely. And, I'm not expecting Bryan to be a long-term GM. Same thing with Mick Foley. If both of them make it to a year as GM, I'll be surprised. I just think in the nature of WWE and television, things are always moving at a very fast pace, and you rarely see somebody in that role for a very long time, with a few exceptions. Like Teddy Long had that GM role forever, it seemed, and Bischoff had it for a fairly long time. But with a lot of these wrestlers as GMs, Austin only lasted about 8 months or so, and same with a bunch of other guys. Most of the GM roles were fairly short, so I'm not expecting Bryan to be GM for that long. So it could end right around that time, spring of 2017. Could Ryback have been a top draw in the WWE? Did Ryback fail somewhere, or did WWE just completely drop the ball on him? The biggest mistake WWE made, and I've talked about this before, but I'll mention it again. The biggest mistake WWE made was doing that Hell in a Cell match between Ryback and CM Punk. Ryback was red hot, and it was too soon for him to be losing. But WWE did not want Punk losing the title because they had to keep Punk protected and stay as champion so he could drop the title to The Rock at the Royal Rumble. And, it's kind of funny. WWE had to protect their part-timer, The Rock, instead of protecting their rising star in Ryback. But that's how it was, and, WWE booked themselves into a corner by doing that match. I think Cena was hurt, so they just went with Ryback. But it was a bad decision. It was too soon for Ryback to be losing, and that hurt his momentum. So Ryback, I think, could have had a better run in WWE, and even when he turned heel, I think he could have had a better run. Once they put him with Axel, he kind of went nowhere for a while. So yeah, they definitely could have done a better job with Ryback. Would he have been as big as maybe he thought he could have been? I'm not sure about that, but I definitely feel he would have had a few more years in a larger role in the company if WWE played their cards a little bit better with him. Alright, that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ&A Video. If you enjoyed today's video, please share it with a friend on Facebook or Twitter or any social media site. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Keep spreading the word about No DQ&A Video. I really do appreciate all the support from you guys. Just one share or one tweet can really make a difference. Of course, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding Paige and her suspension, her second suspension from WWE, as well as Hell in the Cell, Goldberg's return, the TNA situation. A lot going on, and NoDQ.com has got you covered 24/7. So stay tuned, and I will see you guys next time.